Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome. The Doctor is in, and we are back with another installment of Umineko no Naku Koroni, or Umineko When They Cry. And let's see here. I plumb forgot what I was going to say. Right, let's get some housekeeping out of the way and make sure sound alerts are working. Okay, perfect. Right. And I've been hydrating, but I feel like I just need to hydrate every time I start this thing. Good grief. Alright, so we had the Red Truth introduced last week. And we just lost Jessica and Cannon. So let's get back into it. But before we do, let's go ahead and read the obituary, shall we? Let's see. Oh. My feline is deciding to be noisy. Must you do this right now? Okay. Characters. So... Oh. That's strange. We don't have their obituaries yet? Okay. Well. Alright, let's get into it. Rosa and the rest returned from the chapel to the parlor in the mansion. So many things had happened since early in the morning. Of course, they were high-strung. Battler and George, who had cried, raged, and let their emotions explode after seeing their parents' tragic bodies, returned to the parlor and sat in the sofas, dazed, as though everything up until then had been a lie. Only Maria was completely unchanged and looked just like normal. When she wasn't playing pranks, she was basically a kid who played wordlessly by herself. So even if she was dazed, she would probably look just as she did. But as she turned on the TV and flipped through the channels, it looked as though nothing about her had changed from normal. Did Rosa think anything in particular about this attitude, which was clearly different from normal people? She stared at Maria's back as though looking at something that wasn't quite heartwarming. Eventually, Kumasawa came to say good morning. Her cheerful manner was clearly out of place, and she couldn't help but be bewildered by the strange atmosphere in the room. Then, when she heard the details from Goda, she reacted loudly with shock.
Of course you've contacted the police, right? What should we do at a time like this? Oh, what should we do?
Please calm down and listen. It seems a machine somewhere was somehow done in by lightning last night. Because of that, we haven't been able to use the phones.
What? Then until the typhoon passes, we can't even contact the police?
Maybe Kumasawa's exaggerating surprise was a little comical. Even in this kind of situation, Rosa giggled. Because of that, the fog of confusion that had covered her head cleared up a little.
I've got to stay strong. It's not just Maria. I'm acting as a parent for George-kun and Battler-kun too, so I have to stay strong.
Rosa had been the youngest sibling, with a large difference in age between her and the others. So she had always been treated as a child. Every time she learned something new, it was something obvious to her siblings. And she had built up a complex, becoming convinced of her own incompetence. My cat has got the zoomies, guys. Take a chill pill, why don't you? Okay. You okay now? Or do you still feel like you need to run around the house like a maniac? Alright, your tail's depoofed. That's good enough for me. So, she had developed a passive personality, asking her siblings for advice every time something happened. But she no longer had any brothers or sisters. Now Rosa was the only one of the 4 Ushiromiya siblings left. Furthermore, if Kinzo continued to shut himself away, even in this extraordinary situation, Rosa would have to surpass this crisis as the head's representative.
I'm not a child anymore. Not a child.
Rosa slapped her knees lightly and stood up. She must not wait for orders now. She had to start moving herself. She picked up the receiver of the extension phone on the side table. Then she immediately remembered that the phones were down. Genji and Shannon, whom she had sent to see Kinzo, hadn't returned yet. She had a good guess at what was going on. He was probably yelling something nonsensical again and becoming unmanageable. His precious chapel had been defiled with blood. That was easy to imagine. She had planned on using the extension phone to call the study, but unfortunately the phones were down. Rosa decided to go to the study directly with her own 2 feet. Her old self would have been too frightened to go see Kinzo. And in fact, if she did meet him, she would probably be blamed somehow and insulted. But this was no time to be frightened. As his true daughter, she had to make him aware of the current situation.
Kumasawa-san, I'm going to see Father. Take special care of George-kun and Battler-kun. I'm sure they're on edge right now. Yes. That may be true. It is truly pitiable. I shall make them something warm to drink. Thank you.
Rosa went out into the hallway and headed towards Kinzo's study. The atmosphere of the mansion, which she'd spent her younger days in and should have been full of memories, seemed somehow different. She began to climb the stairs in the entrance hall. Just then, in the faint darkness down the stairs behind Rosa's back, something glowed. It was a single fluttering gold butterfly. It fluttered around and sparkled. That butterfly danced around without a sound. It was only natural. No one could hear the sound of a butterfly's wings beating. And then, it came to a rest on Rosa's back as she slowly climbed the stairs. Rosa didn't notice it. If someone not in the know saw it, they'd probably assume it was just a single sheet of gold leaf in the shape of a butterfly that had been stuck there. Without noticing a thing, Rosa continued heading towards Kinzo's study.
So, how will you entertain me with this next one? There are still many, many pieces left.
In the parlor, which had fallen silent again, the only sound was that of the TV that Maria was watching alone. If there was anything audible besides that, it was the sound of the rain, which had continued on and on since the previous night. Every one of those who had witnessed that unearthly and horrible scene stayed silent, as though praying that the events of that morning had all been a dream. Because Kumasawa alone hadn't seen it, her reaction was slightly different. The silence itself seemed more unbearable to her, and she was anxious to encourage everyone somehow. However, she was aware that she must avoid saying anything careless, and she seemed to be pondering about how she could be most helpful. Normally, it would be time for breakfast. However, possibly because something so outrageous had happened, Goda seemed to have forgotten to prepare a meal. Yeah, if Goda forgets to prepare food, you're screwed. Or maybe everyone was so beaten up that they'd forgotten their hunger. Kumasawa wanted to bring up the subject of what they should do for breakfast, but it didn't seem like the right atmosphere, so she really couldn't. But she really was hungry, so she casually made a proposal.
It seems everyone is tired after all that has happened. In times like this, I think the best thing is to heat yourself with some warm black tea.
Indeed, that is an excellent plan. I agree as well.
Oh, how about some delicious black tea with biscuits and jam? Ah, yes, I hear Halloween will be here soon, and we have some delicious-looking pumpkin-shaped cookies on the shelf.
Kumasawa-san, that's,
Of course, she had said the wrong thing. She had reminded Battler and the rest about that horrible and tragic Halloween party in the chapel. Najo hurriedly whispered into Kumasawa's ear.
Battler-san, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to upset you, truly I didn't.
No, don't worry about it. I'll definitely turn this boiling anger back on the culprit.
I wonder if that culprit is still on the island.
Probably. At least until the typhoon passes, no boat will come.
Yes, that is true. After all, the boats stop coming even when it's just a little windy. They certainly wouldn't come during a typhoon, yes.
Creeps me out. You think so, Aniki? Me too. And that's even putting aside whether the culprit that... I can use words today, guys. And that's even putting aside whether the culprit's that mystery guest or not.
Indeed. We've naturally suspected the mysterious guest who calls herself Beatrice. But we still cannot be certain she is the culprit. There's still the possibility she's a victim whose corpse still hasn't been found.
That is true. When I think of it that way, there's something I just can't understand.
What do you mean by that?
It's simple. It's just like Kumasawa Bachan said a short while ago. Right now, this island is right in the middle of a typhoon, and escape is impossible. The same thing goes for the culprit. In that case, having the crime come to light should have been the thing the culprit wanted to avoid most.
I see. So there was no need to draw that creepy magic circle on the entrance to the chapel and show off the fact that the corpses were there.
Yeah, that's it. And if they were able to take the time and effort to do something so horrible to those 6 people, it should have been possible for them to hide the 6 corpses where they'd be impossible to find.
I agree. That brutal Halloween party probably wasn't directed at those who died. It was directed at the people who would eventually discover it. Us. It's probably safe to say that the magic circle was there to help us find it. The culprit knows they won't be able to escape from this island for a while. And yet they acted as though they wanted to make us find the corpses in the middle of this typhoon. What does it mean? If I were the culprit, I definitely wouldn't play around and make us find the bodies.
Beatrice Sama was not in her room, and the room did not seem particularly disturbed. No, Milady did disturb it quite a lot, though.
Come to think of it, what happened to Jessica?
Ganon-san is looking after her. They're probably in Milady's room.
That isn't good. The culprit is definitely still on the island. In this situation, I don't believe it's a very good idea to isolate ourselves in small numbers. What do you mean by that? You don't mean to say that the culprit plans to kill all of us?
Let us remain calm. That is not yet certain.
But unfortunately, we can't deny that the possibility exists. What a weird time to laugh. This letter was in the chapel. According to this, the culprit is the witch. And if we don't solve the riddle of Grandfather's epitaph and find the gold, they'll massacre the whole family. Or something like that.
Is that true? Would you allow me to read it as well?
As they read the witch's letter, Goda, Kumasawa, and Najo's faces grew even paler than they had been. Kumasawa could no longer hide her shaking.
If you don't want to die, try finding Grandfather's hidden gold. Is that it? Screwing around with us. I'll bet she can't solve the riddle, so she's trying to make us solve it.
However, I wonder what the truth is. Madame always stated that the legend of the gold was nothing more than an illusion created by the Master. It is doubtful whether it actually existed. True. Supposedly they thought it would be nice if it did exist, but only half believed it. The relatives started believing...
Oh, goodness, sorry.
The relatives started believing in the legend of gold only after Kinzo's health worsened and the inheritance problem came up. Until then, hardly anyone believed it, I understand.
Oh, so maybe that's why. Do you remember? On the table in the chapel, there were 3 gold ingots. That alone would be worth quite a lot. Doesn't that prove that the legend of the gold was real? Excuse me, please wait. Just now, did you say there were 3 gold bars? Yeah, there were definitely 3 of them piled up. So what? I happened to hear Kraus-sama say something once. Yes, I just happened to hear it, you see. It's not like I was trying to listen in on secret discussions, no, indeed. Don't worry about that now. So then what? Is there something wrong with there being 3 of those gold bars? Yes. According to Kraus-sama, there was only 1 bar ever found to support the legend of the gold.
That is correct. I believe Kinzo-san showed the president of Maruso a mountain of gold and let him take 1 bar back with him, or so the story goes.
That 1 bar came to be in Kraus-sama's possession. And he said that no other gold supporting the Master's legend of the gold existed.
You're talking about Uncle Kraus here.
So what does that mean? Wait, 3? Wait, where did they come from? That's too many, right?
Perhaps there was another explanation. Maybe the other relatives also found 1 each and they each brought 1 of them there. No, I cannot believe that. When all the relatives came to the mansion, I was entrusted with their luggage. I did not feel a suspicious weight back then.
I think those would weigh about 10 kilograms. If that much weight was in their bags, even I would notice. But it didn't seem that way. Same here. At the most, there were some changes of clothes, a first aid kit, Kirie-san's makeup, stuff like that, I think.
And Rosa's luggage also looked pretty light. In that case, those 3 piled up gold bars were being shown to them. Or maybe to us. The legend of the gold is definitely real. It isn't an illusion. They're telling us to try and find out the secret if we can.
Could they be scheming to have us solve the epitaph, which points to where the gold is hidden, and then try to snatch it away?
Yeah, that does make some sense. But there are a couple of parts that don't fit. To start, our parents, who should have been the most likely to solve the epitaph, were killed first. That seems to create a contradiction right off the bat to me. And something else makes even less sense. If the legend of the gold is actually true, then how were they able to pile up all that gold? It's almost like the culprit's already found the gold, and is telling us to try and find it too. Maybe the culprit found those 3 like Uncle Kraus did. Maybe that convinced them that the legend is true and they're trying to make us search for the rest. I think that way fits the best. The pieces on the chessboard aren't lined up at all. We don't have a clue what the culprit is planning, what they want, or what they want to make us do. Is there any point? No matter what we think, is there anything we can figure out right now?
It was written down. What she wanted to make us do. Couldn't anyone read it?
Maria suddenly laughed in a creepy voice. I thought she'd been concentrating on the TV, but apparently she'd been listening in, too. Without turning away from the TV, she very simply told us what we were forgetting.
Beatrice hasn't said once that she wants the gold. All she's asking is whether you're all capable of solving the epitaph's riddle or not. Though I'll bet she's pretty sure you could never do it.
So are you saying you can solve it, Maria?
I don't care. After all, she'll take me to the Golden Land. So I won't get in Beatrice's way. Ouch!
In any case, it looks like we'll have to ask Maria if we want to learn anything more. Maria, tell us. Who is this Beatrice? What is she planning?
You know, Beatrice is a witch. She can do anything with her strange powers. The power of magic can do anything. It can even create gold or bread. And of course it can create sweets too, right? You saw, didn't you?
Huh? That time everyone jumped at the sound of a door being slammed shut. When we turned around, we saw that Rosa had suddenly returned, bringing Genji and Shannon. Then she rapidly approached Maria, her heels squeaking, and hit her on the cheek. Stop talking about that. Battler-kun and the rest will take it badly.
Oh.
Without waiting for a response, she hit Maria's cheek once more. Everyone could only stand there stunned. I don't know what ooh means. What about yes?
Ooh.
She mercilessly hit Maria's cheek again. Maybe Maria didn't feel like resisting after being hit twice. She weakly said yes.
Rosa-san, there's no reason to be so harsh.
This is my daughter's education. Do not interrupt. The atmosphere around Rosa, with Genji and Shannon standing at attention behind her, was somehow cold, yet dignified. Completely different from how she had seemed before she left. She was holding something that looked like a gun. I couldn't imagine that she'd be holding a toy in this situation. And Rosa, what is... This is Father's. Because of the current situation, I borrowed it specially. Everyone should understand. The culprit is still nearby. We don't know what might happen. I agree. Rather than trying to figure out what the culprit is planning, it might be better to first think about our own safety. Father was fine, but he was considerably shaken by these sudden events. Fortunately, he said he won't leave his room, so he should be safe. For now, we should all try to stay together as much as possible. I agree. Wait, hold on. Wrong voice there. What the heck? I agree. We don't even know where the culprit's hiding, and after all, there's no proof that there's only one of them. Even though I'd said it myself, I shivered. That's right. Could a single person kill 6 people and set up such a horrible scene all alone? Isn't it natural to assume that this crime was carried out by multiple culprits?
I agree with Rosa-san. It's probably good for us to stay together.
Yes, I think it's good too. Yes.
Maybe it's about time we called for Milady and Cannon-san.
That's right. Let's have them come down. George Aniki tried to grab the extension phone, but Goda-san shook his head. That's right, the phones are down right now, aren't they? It seems to be awfully inconsistent about whether the phones won't work at all, or just the outside lines. But I digress. That's right, the phones are down right now, aren't they? I'll go with a couple people. If George Aniki and Goda-san come too, that should be enough. No. Let's all go together. It's a wolves and sheep puzzle. Wolves and sheep puzzle, huh? Well then. Let's see what that's all about. Oh, no, wrong thing. I guess that's not actually a tip thing, it's just a creepy noise. If we're in balance while gathered together like this, then maintaining this situation will be safest. Oh, wolves and sheep puzzle.
Ooh, I've got it. I'll show you.
Maria, turn off the television. Genji-san, please tell me where Jessica-chan's room is. Let's all go together.
Yes, I will guide you.
Come on, everyone. We'll move together. Follow my instructions. We stood up. Maria alone looked like she had some regrets about the TV, but she decided to go along with everyone for now and got up. Shannon, thank goodness. I was a bit worried when you took so long to get back.
I am sorry to have worried you. The master ordered me to transcribe something for him.
Transcribe?
Shannon,
I'm sorry. Excuse me.
We headed for Jessica's room with the armed Aunt Rosa and Genji-san in the lead. Jessica and Kanon-kun were a boy and a girl of about the same age. It'd sure be a shame if we barged in on them at a bad time, or at least that's what we'd be joking about normally. However, Aunt Rosa was on edge, constantly exuding a sense of tension. So it definitely wasn't the sort of atmosphere for careless remarks like that. No, pretty sure barging them on them at an awkward moment is impossible at this point. Hey, don't fall behind. Everyone move together. We don't know when or where the culprit might leap out at us, right? No, maybe Aunt Rosa's attitude was more appropriate. Since Grandfather hadn't come down, Aunt Rosa was our leader. This wasn't a situation where she could smile like she always did. And Aunt Rosa was a mother, too. If you can call her that. She probably also thought that if she didn't get a hold of herself, some harm might befall her beloved daughter. The culprit had killed 6 of our parents at once. The method they had used was unknown, but there was a good chance his opponent could take down a large number of people in a flash. Would that be with weapons or with numbers? Or with the magic of a witch? In any case, I couldn't think of any reason why it'd be okay to let our guards down. The rest of us had better take much, much greater care, just like Aunt Rosa. Everyone, stop! Aunt Rosa spoke in a sharp voice. Wondering what this was all about, we peered forwards, and immediately we realized the reason.
What is this?
Everyone, get back.
Goda-san and Genji-san approached the door. Beyond this door was probably Jessica's room.
This seems to be the same paint that was scribbled on the door to the chapel.
it appears so. It seems not much time has passed since it was drawn.
What the heck? Is that another magic circle? Except it, it doesn't look anything like a circle, but, A rune probably would be the better term for it, I suppose. Then again, I'm not exactly well versed in this kind of stuff, so if anybody's in the chat who knows better than I do, please feel free to correct me. Or if you're in YouTube and you're reading and you can comment on the video, that works too. Which, on that note, if you are watching on YouTube or you're watching on Twitch, please like, subscribe, follow, whatever is appropriate to the platform you're viewing on. It really does help the channel out, so we certainly appreciate that.
It's the first magic circle of the moon.
Oh, I guess it is technically a magic circle if it's got a title like that.
It has the power to open unopening doors.
Drawn on the door to Jessica's room was the same kind of creepy scribble that had been drawn on the door to the chapel. That strange pattern must have had some occult meaning, but it didn't matter what the meaning was. We were worried about whether those two were okay.
That doesn't matter. Are Jessica-chan and Kanan-kun safe?
Yeah, this does not bode well. We should quickly bring those two downstairs. Milady! Milady! Are you there? Please, answer!
Goda-san knocked violently and yelled, but there was no answer. He gripped the doorknob with a clatter, but the lock just resisted him.
Rosa-sama, it seems to be locked.
There's no helping it. Please, open it up.
Genji nodded, and Goda quickly unlocked the door with the master key. In the back of my mind, horrible images floated up and disappeared, one after another. A magic circle had been drawn on the door to the chapel. Behind that lay 6 corpses. So if there's a magic circle drawn on the door to Jessica's room, then beyond it must be...
Jessica-sama!
What happened? Is she there? Jessica! What happened?
It was truly heartless. The expression on Goda-san's face and his cry as he opened the door prepared us for the brutal fate that Jessica had met even before we saw her. Everyone rushed into Jessica's room at once. That scene told everyone that their worst fears were spot on.
Jessica! How horrible. Dr. Nacho!
Inside the room, which seemed elegant for the bedroom of one so young, Jessica lay crumpled on the ground. There was a large pool of blood on the floor. There was a knife or something sticking deep into her back. Was it a knife? There was a design on the handle that just had to symbolize something demonic. It had to be a weapon, I think, with some kind of occult meaning.
This is horrible. She's passed away. This probably reached her lungs. Not much time has passed since she died.
Jessica! Damn it! Damn it!
Battler-sama?
I was naive. I knew it! Since the culprit couldn't escape the island, they were definitely close by. So why didn't he get cautious sooner? I was naive. I just assumed that a culprit would commit their crime and then just sneak away and hide. We were stunned then. We thought Jessica-chan giving in to rage and running off was just something that couldn't be helped. But we were naive. We should have stopped her. Koda-san, why did you leave those two alone? If only you'd been with them, something like this.
No, it is... I said it was dangerous, so we should return. It's just that my lady said she wanted to be alone. Kanan-san told me to leave it to him, and... Speaking of which, where is Kanan-san?
That's right. What in the world happened to Kanan-kun?
The obituaries are ready now.
Ushiromiya Jessica, found in her own room in the mansion with a weapon shaped like a stake having been rammed into her back. At the very end, she got to be with the person she loved. She must have been happy. Canon, missing. The witch erased his corpse for fun. That alone threw them into chaos. If the human world is what is, then what is not is undoubtedly fantasy. Fantasy depicts what they themselves fear. Canon-kun, where?
Canon-san should have been met with Milady. Where in the world did he go? You don't think they got him?
Quiet. Someone might be hiding in this room. Search under the bed and in the closet. There was a chance that Canon-kun's corpse had been pushed away somewhere. At Rosa-san's orders, everyone searched through the room and throughout the room together. There wasn't a single human hiding anywhere. There were multiple of them. No kidding.
He's nowhere.
Could the culprit have taken him out of the room? Then we'll have to search for him quickly and save him. If we're slow, something awful might happen. Aunt Rosa, let's search all over the mansion. Let's search for the culprit.
Let's save Canon-kun.
Quiet! When Aunt Rosa yelled at us, we instantly fell silent. She was probably contemplating something. However, what in the world could that be? Aunt Rosa walked around the room as though looking for something, or as though she was collecting her thoughts. Then she found something on the side table by the bed and picked it up. If anyone knows, tell me. Which key is this? Aunt Rosa showed everyone a key with a cute mascot attached to it. Judging from its cute appearance, I didn't doubt that it was Jessica's key, but I had no way of knowing for sure.
It is probably the key to this room, to Milady's room.
After hearing that, Aunt Rosa made a point of going outside the door and checking. Without a doubt, it was the key to this room. I wonder why it was set in a place like this. Wouldn't you normally keep such an important key in your pocket? Milady wasn't in the habit of locking her room. It seems she would only do it when she went to school, because she didn't someone like Kraus-sama to look inside her room. I see. She wasn't at school, so it's natural that Jessica-chan would set the key down here. How many keys can open this door? Just the one Milady had. Can't it be opened with your master keys?
They can't open it.
How many master keys are there? Are all of the servants holding them? Are there extras?
Yes, we all have one. As for extras, I wonder.
There used to be several, but Madame scolded us harshly, saying that it was careless, so they should have been dealt with.
That is correct. There is only one held by each servant. There are no more.
Huh? Wait a sec. I think we talked about extra master keys in the last game, right? Indeed. Well, regarding that, I have noticed that having several master keys whose locations are unknown is quite disadvantageous for me. That's probably right. Since you want to make me believe in magic using closed rooms, it really hurts you if there were more master keys than were these thought. After all, every time a trick involving lock shows up, I plan to resist by arguing that the culprit had a master key that someone lost in the past or a duplicate. Yes, that's correct. So I've decided to make a move to defeat that. I'll update our setting. The only master keys are the ones held by the servants, one key each. Messing with me. More importantly, what kind of move is this? What's Aunt Rosa talking about? Who knows? You should try listening in. Thank you. I have the situation sorted out. And I've been able to pinpoint the culprit who assaulted Jessica-chan, or at least one of their accomplices. What did you say? Who is it? Aunt Rosa, you don't mean Canon-kun, do you? Huh? What? Why Canon-kun? This room was locked, and the only keys that can unlock it are the master keys held by each servant and the key Jessica had. But Jessica-chan's Jessica-chan's key was closed up in here. Gosh, you can use words, guys. Hydrating. Excuse me. Which means it's only possible that one of the master keys locked this room up.
It is as you say.
In that case, someone killed Jessica, then locked the door. That person had a master key, and there were only 5 people with master keys. Oh my! It wasn't me, not me! No, I could never do such a thing! Kumasawa-san got up late. After we returned from the chapel to the parlor, we did meet you there, but it's impossible to prove where you were and what you were doing until that time. You watched us from the shadows, chased after Jessica-chan and Kanen-kun when they were isolated, and stealthily attacked them. Are you saying that I visited Milady's room and did something so horrible? I did no such thing! Gracious, no such thing! What about you, Goda-san? You said you left Jessica-chan in Kanen-kun's care and returned. But I wonder if that's true. Maybe you actually killed the 2 of them, hid Kanen-kun's corpse, and then came back with an innocent look on your face.
Nothing of the sort happened. I go to swear that I did not do anything like that.
It wasn't us. We were following the master's orders and... Yes, you and Genji-san alone are clean. That's backed up by what I heard from Father. The 2 of you were in Father's room the whole time, transcribing and witnessing for him. Father and I can guarantee that.
Thank you very much.
In that case, the argument becomes who is more suspicious, Goda-san or Kumasawa-san. I thought that myself right after entering this room. But still, I found it strange. Look at the state of Jessica-chan's body. Doesn't everyone think it's strange?
Strange? Say.
Jessica-chan was struck in the back. Come on, they say it all the time, right? That in crimes where the victim is struck in the back, there is a high likelihood that the culprit was someone whose face was known to the victim. She definitely wouldn't invite a person she didn't trust into her room and defenselessly expose her back. Rosa-sama, you don't mean to say that it was Kanen-kun, do you? I do. We're all fully aware of the state Jessica-chan was in right before she was killed. After seeing her parents' tragic bodies, Jessica-chan was very panicked. It's easy to imagine that after she regained her composure, she'd be in a horrible slump. It would be very understandable if Jessica's frame of mind led her to shut herself up alone in her room, and those particulars match with Goda-san's story. Jessica-chan said to leave her alone. Then Kanen-kun, who's of similar age and who may have some adolescent relationship with her, said to leave this matter in his hands. That feeling is also very understandable. So for that reason, I think Jessica-chan welcomed Kanen-kun into her room. But what if it had been Goda-san or Kumasawa-san? Would she have let them into her room?
I believe that I have gained Milady's trust. But even so,
Oh, then I guess you're still a suspect after all, Goda-san. I assume Jessica-chan probably didn't like you very much, so I didn't think she would have let you into her room. I was convinced that you couldn't possibly be the culprit. Maybe I was mistaken?
no, I am sad to say that I may not have been accepted by Milady. What about you, Kumasawa-san?
Oh, we are far too separated by age to understand the feelings of a young person like Milady very well. And for the same reason, perhaps Milady never opened up her heart to us. Right, Goda-san?
Yes, that's right. It would have been quite difficult for her to open her heart to the likes of us. And it would be inconceivable for Milady to let us into her room while she was grieving.
Goda-san and Kumasawa-chan each rubbed their hands together, affirming each other with forced smiles on their faces. It was a truly unpleasant rondo. So it was a person who might be allowed to enter Jessica-chan's room while she was grieving. A person who might have been given access to her defenseless back, and who had a master key. That only points to one suspect. It was impossible for anyone except Kanen-kun. Please, wait! Kanen-kun definitely wouldn't do something like... Oh, then is there someone else? Is Goda-san or Kumasawa-san suspicious after all? Who do you think is more suspicious, Shannon-chan? Come on. I could never... It wasn't me, Shannon-san. Yes, it was not me.
Of course it wasn't me either. The ones who had close relationships with the little lady were Kanen-kun, and after him, you, right?
Yes, isn't that right? Jessica-chan might also let Shannon-chan into her room. You were supposedly with father, but in reality, could you be the culprit?
Shannon couldn't possibly be the culprit. Didn't you just say she was doing some important work with grandfather?
Yes, I know. Neither Shannon-chan nor Genji is the culprit. Father confirmed that they were together the whole time. Well then, what do you think, everyone? What do you think, everyone? That line's not going to come up later at all, I'm sure. After being told that, no one could respond. Even if someone did manage to argue back, they'd then have to offer the name of a different suspect. And no matter who that suspect was, it would have to be someone right here. No one could do something like that. Aunt Rosa glanced at everyone in turn, fingering the gun like it was a toy. She seemed so different from the kind Aunt Rosa I knew. No, it's probably because I'm not fully aware of the danger we're in. Maybe Aunt Rosa's attitude would seem natural if I could truly sense the peril surrounding us. It looks like no one has an opinion. Then I'll give you mine. Of course, I can't deny the possibility that Kanen-kun's a victim without a corpse, but until we find that corpse, I certainly can't rule Kanen-kun out as a suspect. There's a chance he'll suddenly appear again, claiming to have been attacked by the culprit and confined somewhere. But take care. Most likely... No, there's no doubt about it. Kanen-kun killed Jessica-chan. No way! I can't believe it. Kanen did that to Milady? That's too much! I feel the same as Shannon. I'm opposed to labeling Kanen-kun as the culprit. Then is the culprit Goda-san or Kumasawa-san? Tell me who's more suspicious.
It wasn't us.
If it wasn't Kanen-kun, then who could have locked this door? How about it, Shannon-chan? George-kun? Huh? Huh? Aunt Rosa closed in on Shannon-chan and George on a key, laughing unpleasantly. Of course, they couldn't say anything back. They wanted to believe in Kanen-kun. But if they did, they'd have to suspect the other servants. The simplest culprit was the mystery guest, Beatrice. But she was nothing more than a guest and didn't have a master key. So if Beatrice is the culprit, despite lacking a master key, then do we have to accept the argument that she really is a witch who locked the door with the power of magic? That's a dirty argument. Dirty, so dirty. What are you worried about? Make it my fault. You can just make it the fault of the 19th person, the mystery guest, right? If you do, you won't have to watch this ugly battle of humans blaming each other, right? So then what? The culprit is the 19th person, the guest Beatrice. She's a witch, so she could lock the door without a key using magic. You telling me to accept that? Damn it. Damn it. Damn it! Oh, wrong button. In the last game, I learned all your weak points. So what will you do? What will you do? You said you definitely wouldn't accept me, right? Then you can use Kanen as the perfect sacrifice he is. Kanen killed Jessica. If you support Rosa's theory, everything is settled here, right? Kanen is already dead. There should be no need to show concern for the dead. And you won't have to suspect anyone in this room. Damn it! I won't accept you! But Kanen-kun being the culprit is impossible!
I don't want to suspect anyone. However, at times, there's no smoke without fire turns out to be true. Anyway, you can never be too cautious.
Dr. Nanjo, what do you mean by that?
Please do not misunderstand. I do not wish to label Kanen-san as the culprit. However, until we understand the situation, there's a possibility that he is the culprit. And I believe thinking that way is safer.
Oh, yes, that's right. You cannot be too cautious. The general consensus certainly didn't seem to find fault with Nanjo for what he said. True, no one actually thought Cannon was the culprit, but unless they suspected him, they'd have to suspect every one of the servants here. We didn't want to do that. We didn't want to suspect. We didn't want to be suspected. That's correct. We cannot be too vigilant. I take it no one objects to that, right? Understand? There's a very high likelihood that these murders are connected to Father's Legend of the Gold. That means the crime must have been plotted by someone who wants to keep a vast amount of gold, worth several 10 billion yen, all for themselves. With that kind of money, you could play around for the rest of your life at any country. And with a motivation like that, they might even intend to kill all of us. Because she didn't have a master key, the 19th person, the guest Beatrice is removed from suspicion for the murder of Jessica-chan alone. But we cannot conclude that she's unrelated to the crime. After all, it's a vast amount of gold we're talking about. We can't deny the possibility that there are multiple culprits. Right now, one of the people here among us might have been bought by the culprit. As Aunt Rosa yelled, she looked all around, her gun still raised. Don't believe anyone. Suspect the person next to you. That's what she was saying. But no one wanted to suspect. They didn't want to suspect anyone here. Weakness in their hearts demanded an answer from those not present. There are only two ways you can be sure someone isn't a suspect. If it's yourself, or if they're already no more than a corpse. The same goes for Cannon-kun. Until we catch sight of his corpse, he is the most likely suspect in Jessica-chan's murder. So take care. Even if he's still alive, even if he smooths things over with some explanation, you definitely mustn't trust him. Got it? No one gave an answer of their own initiative. However, those who met Aunt Rosa's eyes had to nod their heads. Humans are beings who live by molding themselves to fit society. In other words, from the time they're born, trusting each other is genetically imprinted on them. It's unpleasant to go against that. They never want to suspect someone. But if they're forced to suspect someone, they find it safest to choose someone who isn't present at that moment. For the purpose of safety and nothing more, they half-heartedly chose Cannon to be the sacrifice. That's ridiculous. I definitely don't want to believe that Cannon-kun's the culprit. I'd heard it from George Aniki just now, but not only were those two close in age, they also had that kind of adolescent relationship Aunt Rosa had mentioned. Maybe a little late now, but yes, they really did have that kind of air about them. After seeing her parents' tragic corpses, Jessica, bearing deep wounds in her heart, would only have trusted Cannon-kun. It was very easy to imagine. That's why I don't like it. Cannon-kun was the only one she trusted, so she wouldn't have let anyone but Cannon-kun in. So Cannon-kun was the only one who could have killed Jessica? I just can't accept that kind of argument. Understand, even if Cannon-kun appears, don't let your guards down. As long as we cannot prove Cannon-kun's innocence, we will assume that Cannon-kun is the culprit who killed Jessica-chan. That was Aunt Rosa's claim. By using the vague word assume, she managed to convince everyone in the end. Everyone nodded weakly, and with the excuse that they were just assuming it for the time being, they concluded that Cannon was the culprit who killed Jessica. I wonder what the dead Jessica and Cannon would think if they could hear this exchange. Jessica was crying. She was crying into the chest of the person who put his life on the line to fight for her, Cannon. It was frustrating. So frustrating that it felt like her chest would explode. She grieved and she resented how far the dignity of the dead had been trampled. How can those guys treat Cannon-kun like the culprit? Because there's no corpse. How can they treat you like the culprit just because there's no corpse? You risked your life to fight for me, right? Then that witch erased the corpse for fun. For them to call you the culprit after that, it's horrible. It's too horrible. It's okay. I wasn't able to protect you in the end.
but I was able to be of use to you in our final minutes.
Why doesn't everyone understand that? Stop it, Aunt Rosa! Don't call Kaneko the culprit with that messed up logic!
She isn't saying I'm the culprit. She's just saying I'm suspicious. No. She's saying to be careful.
She is saying it! These people are saying you're the culprit so they can stop thinking! They aren't thinking about the culprit who killed me anymore. I mean, about who the culprit who killed me is anymore. They aren't thinking of the possibility that you aren't the culprit. And after this, every time something happens, they'll use the excuse that Kaneko did it so we don't know where he is. I can't stand that.
It's okay. At least you know the truth.
If only I know the truth, that's pointless. I didn't know it after dying. Truth belongs to living humans. If the truth doesn't remain, the dead won't be rewarded. They won't know what Kaneko risked his life for. Truly a splendid sight. You hardly ever find a sweeter honey than the laments of the dead. Lament! Lament! No matter how much you lament, the voices of the dead never reach the living. Damn it! Damn it! It doesn't matter who! Hear my voice! Kaneko isn't the culprit! Kaneko's corpse was just erased! Why? Why don't you understand that?
Milady.
I can't stand this! It's too sad! I hate it! This way, it's like Kaneko died for nothing, right? The honor of the dead means nothing unless it's acknowledged by the living. It doesn't matter who. Notice it! Notice it, please! Kaneko isn't the culprit! Don't go! Don't go, everyone! Please don't let it end like this! Don't go! Don't go!
Rosa announced that this room would be sealed until the police came. The rest didn't want to suspect each other, so they happily accepted that. For now they accepted that Kaneko was the culprit. Without even imagining how much disgrace that gave to the dead, they accepted it.
Milady, you've done enough. Thank you.
Don't go! Don't go, everyone! I'm begging you, come back! Don't leave us behind like this! Don't keep treating Kaneko as a culprit!
Hold on. Put the disclaimer in the chat. My apartment is not soundproof. If my screams of bloody murder aren't convincing, it's because I don't want the neighbors thinking I need to call the police. Same is true for my hysterical, sobbing female voices.
It won't reach! The laments of the dead never reach! You make me laugh, yes. That face of yours makes me laugh! Did you think your voice would reach them? It won't reach, will it, Jessica?
It's all useless.
Huh? Butler-kun, did you say something?
Yeah, it's useless. It's all useless.
Just as everyone was about to leave the room, Battler stood alone with his back to them, still looking down at Jessica's corpse.
What do you mean, it's all useless? Do you have some objection? I agree that we've got to stay on our guards. But sorry, I'm not buying all that about Kaneko being the culprit. Oh? So you're speaking up at a time like this? Instead of running away, you argue closer. Hey, Rusalka, nice of you to join. Thank you for being here. Glad you're here.
Okay, give me just a second here. Yeah, guys, check out Rusalka Rusalka. She was playing Skyrim not too long ago. Go check her out. It's got a lot of variety content, and I also enjoy listening to her voice. It's a very nice voice to have in the background while you're working. Umineko is going good. We are just now into the counter argument for why the missing corpse can't be the culprit. No, I mean, your natural voice is, pleasant to listen to in the background while I'm working from home. Oh, gosh. Now I've got that cat dating sim stuck in my head again. But glad to have you here. And guys, go check her out. Not the cat dating sim, yeah. That was something. That was something. I thought Hatsuful boyfriend was weird. And no, it's just by comparison, that seems like the most natural plot line someone could come up with on this earth. Anyway. One moment. You were still shocked by the fact you got murdered? Yeah. If Cannon wasn't the culprit and it wasn't my doing, how do you explain this closed room that Jessica's room has become? To be honest, I don't even have a clue on that point. Seriously, why'd I have to go and say it's all useless? Guess I'd better take responsibility for my own words. Alright, well, thank you for the lurk. Enjoy your food. I'm empty-handed with zero weapons to argue with, but I'm not gonna sit around on the sidelines anymore, Beatrice. Battle-sama. Is there some proof that Cannon-kun isn't the culprit? The expression that rose to those two faces was definitely one of anticipation. They didn't want to believe that Cannon was the culprit. They really believed in Cannon. So they were expectant because they wanted me to strengthen their belief in him even more. Then, Daddler-kun, which of the other servants do you suspect? Goda-san? Or is it Kumasawa-san? Quit it, Aunt Rosa. I know the person called Kumasawa-ba-chan well. She'll sometimes slack off while on the job, but she always makes things fun for people. Even if her eyes were dazzled by money, she isn't the kind of person who'd kill for it. Battler-sama. And I just met Goda-san yesterday. Honestly, I still don't really understand him. But there is something I do understand. I've never seen anyone who cooks as happily as he does. He's the same. The same as Kumasawa-ba-chan. Goda-san likes to make people happy. As if a person like that could kill those whose praise his own food is delicious, even if money was piled up in front of him. Then who do you think killed Jessica-chan, Battler-kun? Who do you think shut Jessica up in a room that could only be locked by a master key? Wait. Before I argue about that, there's something I want to make clear. I don't want to talk about if so-and-so's not the culprit, then so-and-so must be the culprit. I just want to talk about how it's completely impossible for Cannon-kun to be guilty. You say you can prove that Cannon isn't the culprit. How? It's actually simple, and it's something I almost overlooked. Beato? Repeat it! If you can say it, try saying it. Cannon-kun had a master key on him. Oh. Cannon-kun doesn't have a master key on him? How could you possibly know that? A short while ago, I heard from Goda-san about what happened. About how Jessica went up to raid the VIP room, right before she and Cannon-kun went off on their own. Goda-san, you did a good job remembering it. You protected Cannon's honor.
I did?
I heard him say the same thing.
But I don't really understand. Could you explain it, Battler-kun? That's right. When Jessica unlocked the VIP room, she borrowed the key from Cannon-kun, but didn't give it back. So Cannon-kun doesn't have a master key on him. Is that really so? True, Goda has no recollection of the master key being returned to Cannon. However, she might have returned it when Goda wasn't looking. How does this prove that it definitely didn't happen? If you could just search the pocket of Cannon's corpse, you'd be able to say for sure, but you can't. It's impossible to prove. It's all useless. It's actually pretty simple, isn't it? No way. So you're saying that's why Cannon-kun didn't have a key on him? Yeah. And to prove it, all you have to do is search Jessica. Cannon-kun's master key should be in Jessica's pocket. Dr. Nanjo, would you check for us?
Indeed.
Nanjo dashed up to Jessica and searched in her jacket pocket. Everyone was expectant. I keep putting the pause in the wrong spot.
Please, be there. Here it is. Is this it?
Yes, that is a master key, without a doubt.
At Genji's statement, there was a small ooh of joyful voices. That's Cannon-kun's master key. I'll say it again. Cannon-kun doesn't have a master key on him. So there's no way he could have locked the door. It certainly does appear that way. But Cannon-kun was the last person to meet Jessica-chan. The fact that he's suspicious hasn't changed. Let's give that stuff a rest. Huh? Fundamentally, humans are supposed to be creatures that trust each other. But because we live in a tough world, we learn how to be deeply suspicious. So we suspect everything. We're sad creatures. I won't deny that's our nature. But the one thing I won't let you do is to reach conclusions without proof. If someone looks suspicious, that doesn't make them guilty, it makes them innocent. Of course, the world is filled with wolves. I'm not saying you should carelessly believe everyone. But if you're gonna conclude that someone's guilty, you better have some perfect evidence. Unless you two don't go around accusing them based on speculation. That's...
I was the one who brought up there's no smoke without fire. It was careless of me. I apologize.
Battler-sama. Wonderful reasoning, Battler-kun. Thank you too, Goda-san. Because of what you remembered, Cannon-kun's been cleared from suspicion.
No, I...
It was the crisp sound of the witch applauding.
Well done, well done. Not a bad job. Crap. Did I fall for that bait piece just like you wanted? You magnificently proved that Cannon at least couldn't lock the door to this room. The servants should have all had master keys. With that as proof, Cannon was treated as the culprit, but you've at least managed to clear away that suspicion. In that case, how did the culprit who killed Jessica lock the door? So that's the problem we have now. I got drawn in exactly the flow you wanted. I got you, didn't I? Furthermore, you said something outrageous about not doubting any of the other servants. Well then, I can't wait to see how you try to smooth that over. Shut up. Let's start right away. You'll probably just deny it anyway, but first let's check the definition of this room as a closed room. Very well. First, there are absolutely no types of hidden doors. This door is the only way in or out. The only way to lock this door is with Jessica's single key or the master keys, only one of which is held by each servant. It is on the second floor, but it's probably possible to enter or leave through the window. However, the window is locked from the inside. I can spin the chessboard around already. If I start by arguing about the door and the lock, I'll probably be stuck dancing on the palm of your hand. Do as you like. Well then, what should I repeat? Repeat it.
Cannon-kun was killed in this room. Very well. Cannon was killed in this room. Ah, we got an obituary here. Canon, there is no corpse, but he is dead. The witch declared it in red, so even without a corpse, his death is incontrovertible. But I erased his corpse with magic, right? Again, repeat it. Cannon-kun's corpse is in this room. I refuse. I can't repeat it, because I erased the corpse with magic. Yeah, I figures you wouldn't say that. There's gotta be a secret hidden in there somewhere. Damn, where's the mysterious point I've gotta find? Did they lock it without the master key? Or did they somehow kill those two while they were inside the room and it was locked? Or did they kill those two and then somehow escape? I hate to say it, but I'll have to cover up the moat first. Repeat it. The last time it was locked was due to a master key. I also refuse that. This refusing thing is really vague. I don't know if you're refused because it's impossible to repeat or whether you can repeat it and you're refusing on purpose. Back when discussing the locks of the chapel, you completely turned the tables on me. When I have an advantage, there's no need to go out of my way to use red when it might be risky. That's all it is. I guess that makes sense. Originally, the point of the red was to counter my strange theories. Naturally, I'll use it in a way that works to my advantage. Now that I know that I've got to worry about you twisting it around, I won't use it pointlessly. Well then, what move will you use next? I imagine a move placing suspicion on Goda or Kumasawa will be easiest, yes? Damn. Feels like you're leading me by the nose and it pisses me off. Stay quiet a bit, I'm thinking. Of course, this door is the same as the chapel. When locked, it does not permit any form of entry or exit. I'll say more. No trick could have the effect of locking the door from the outside without using a key. Damn you for always using red when I don't ask for it. Time to step back to square one. For now, I've just got to think. I'll lay out everything I know. First, there are two victims. Jessica and Cannon-kun. Cannon-kun's corpse isn't here, but Beatrice admitted in red that Cannon-kun was killed. So even without a corpse, he's included as a victim. There are a few questionable points. Depending on which I focus on, my line of thought changes a lot. First, after the culprit committed murder in this room, how did they lock it? If we assume the culprit's someone with a master key, it's extremely simple. But I'd like to avoid that if I can, because I'd have to suspect Goda-san or Kumasawa-san, or maybe even Shanin-chan and Genji-san. Here, I noticed something. I was contradicting myself. I was strangling my own neck. I wanted to deny Beatrice no matter what. I want to erase the existence of that brutal, fickle, ridiculous witch. So I have to explain everything with humans, not magic. But that also means suspecting some human. I don't want to suspect anyone. Of course, if there's some clear proof, I'll have to believe that the person in the question is the culprit. But until that happens, I don't want to suspect people. Am I just naive? Am I just a kid who doesn't want to have my feelings betrayed when those feelings tell me that this person at least could never commit murder? I want to deny that a witch did it, and I also want to deny that a human did it. I don't even know what I'm doing right now. In the first place, the only victory condition in our game was whether or not you could deny my existence. Even though that alone put you at a disadvantage, you've increased the number of victory conditions all by yourself, making your own victory harder. It's just as she says. If I just argue that someone with a master key did it, this closed room can be broken easily. However, the number of keys that can open this door is limited. And since it's clearly known who has them, using that argument means I'd be suspecting someone I know well. In fact, have I just been averting my eyes from the truth? Even while attacking that closed room trick in the chapel, which was exhilarating to destroy, I propose that someone stole the key from Maria's handbag and returned it. If that theory is right, then the question becomes who could have stolen the key from her handbag? Maria's handbag was probably the most unguardable. She slept. In that case, in addition to me, George, Aniki, and Jessica are also suspects. So George, Aniki, or Jessica's the culprit? Or maybe an accomplice? All of our parents have been killed, right? And yet, one of us consented to that and assisted with the crime? We all lamented more and shed tears together in the chapel, and yet one among us was lying? That theory of yours about taking a key out of the handbag and putting it back cast a pronounced suspicion on the cousins, did it not? And despite that, you acted like you didn't even notice, announcing a theory like that so happily. Damn it. That doesn't guarantee that one of the family or the servants is the culprit. If you snuck up on us while hiding in a cardboard box, for example, there's a good chance that you could have slunk into our room when we were fast asleep and stolen the key, right? Cardboard box. Perhaps that will do for that situation. By suspecting the guest, the 19th person, you won't have to suspect the others. In that case, how was Jessica's room locked? It's no trouble at all for me to open the lock with magic, but of course, I don't have a master key. If you deny my magic, you will also have to deny that I'm a suspect, correct? So in other words, that means suspecting one of the 18.
Oh, yeah, thanks for the help.
I managed to sort things out a bit. My goal is to figure out how the 19th person, the human guest Beatrice, committed these crimes. If I do that, I won't have to suspect anyone. If you can do that, foolish man. This wasn't a closed room from the beginning. After all, there are a total of 6 keys that can open it. And several people possess such keys. You can suspect any of them. Suspect as much as you like. But you went to all the trouble of denying all of them, making it a closed room yourself. Understand? This is a closed room born from your mental contradiction. You and no one else sealed that door. So you're trying to say that I've got 2 options. Accept that a witch opened it with magic, or accept that someone I know is the culprit. Damn, are you trying to fork the rook? I just wanted to show you that moves such as this can exist as well. So what will you do, Ushiromi, a battler? Isn't it actually simple? Don't you just have to make sacrifices, that overly self-confident cook and that hag who wouldn't be a loss if she died?
Damn it! I suspect Goda-san and Kumasawa-san, everything will be fine? It's useless! I can't think of Goda-san as a culprit. I can't think of Kumasawa-san as a culprit. But I won't accept you! No matter what!
In that case, they'd have to enter the room without using magic or a master key, kill Jessica and Cannon, and even erase Cannon's corpse without using magic. How could it be done? How could it be done so that you can deny me while still not suspecting anyone else? I resign. Huh? Battler-kun, what did you just say? I give up. I was able to prove that Cannon-kun couldn't have locked this door. But that doesn't mean I've managed to figure out who killed Jessica. No, that's more than enough. For Cannon-kun's sake. Thank you very much. No need to thank me. After all, this means you're under suspicion too, Shannon-chan. And sorry, Aunt Rosa. It's not like I wanted to resist you. I don't want to die, and I want to find Dad and the rest's true enemy. Sorry for saying something that wasn't cooperative. No, it's okay. I was also a little rash. Let's make up. As an aunt and nephew, we have to stay on good terms. Right? Aunt Rosa shifted the gun to one hand and held out her other. I reached out, and for the time being, we shook hands. Aunt Rosa's gaze was sharp. In order to deny the witch, she would sacrifice anyone. That's what her eyes told me. And me? I denied the witch, but I wasn't prepared to lose anything. I was probably the one who seemed to be fighting the most, and yet the one who separated... And yet the one who was most separated from reality. Chapter break, which means it is time for a stretch break for me. Oh, we are nearing the completion of the day. We are at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna put a be right back sign. If you're not subscribed, you'll see some lovely ads. Maybe not so lovely. I guess it kind of depends on which ads you see. But I'll be back. Thank you for waiting. And we're back. With Jessica's death, it became certain that the culprit was hiding somewhere nearby, and that they'd come for our lives if they had a chance. According to Genji-san, when tomorrow morning comes, the boat should arrive. The boat had a radio. We'd probably be able to contact the police directly with that. All of us gathered in the parlor and decided to wait quietly until tomorrow. I proposed that we should search throughout the mansion for clues about the culprit, but Aunt Rosa rejected that, saying that if we managed to corner the culprit or maybe provoke them, it might lead to a third murder. That was probably the right thing to do. If a bunch of amateurs like us investigated, there's no way we'd find anything. It would be wisest to focus on protecting ourselves without doing anything unnecessary and leave it to the police starting tomorrow. We'd been tense at the beginning, but other than Aunt Rosa, most of us had spent all morning watching TV and getting bored, so our sense of danger had faded considerably. When we thought about it, six adults certainly had been killed together in the first murder. But that made it seem like some backhanded method like poison had been used. And for the second murder, we figured those two became sacrifices because they'd been unfortunately isolated from the rest of us. From this, it was possible to imagine that the culprit wasn't a large number of adults, and that they wouldn't be capable of killing this large group gathered in the parlor all at once. Right now, in this parlor, there's George Aniki and me, Maria, Aunt Rosa, Genji-san, Goda-san, Shannon-san, Kumasawa-san, and then Dr. Nanjo for a total of 9 people. Furthermore, Aunt Rosa was even armed with a gun. Surely with this many people staying in this room, they wouldn't be able to touch us easily. That feeling of security, along with the passage of time, allowed us to recover from the shock of that morning, bit by bit. By the way, lunchtime had just ended for us. However, it had been a canned food lunch, a far cry from the dinner last night that Goda-san had skillfully made for us. Aunt Rosa also suspected that poison may have been used in the first murder, so we probably couldn't deny the possibility that the culprit had snuck into the kitchen during all that confusion in the morning and mixed poison in with the ingredients there. Aunt Rosa gave orders to all of us saying that until the police came, we mustn't put anything into our mouths except safe things like canned food. As a cook, Goda-san must have felt very let down. Apparently eager to display his skill anyway, he said he at least wanted to grab some plates and arrange the canned food on them. At first, Aunt Rosa had been reluctant, examining each one of the plates that were brought, but she hadn't been able to find anything to complain about. And Goda's chef's pick canned food lunch combo was born. Goda said something about the taste being savored not just with the tongue, but with the eyes as well. I see. It's the same canned food we ate for breakfast, but it feels like something completely different.
Ooh, Battler! Look! This is the wolves and sheep puzzle. Ooh!
As I was sitting lazily on the sofa with no desire to watch TV, Maria came over and pulled a picture book out of her handbag and held it out to me. What's that book? Wolves and sheep puzzle? Let's see. Wolves and sheep puzzle. It was a phrase that Aunt Rosa had said this morning when we'd gone to call in Jessica. At the time, I hadn't known what it meant. Gosh, sorry. Hydration. There we go. At the time, I hadn't known what it meant, and right after that was the uproar when Jessica's corpse was found, so I'd forgotten about it completely. The book that Maria held out to me looked like a foreign picture book or something that had been translated. When I opened it, I realized that it was a book stuffed with riddles.
Ooh, so you have a few wolves and a few sheep, okay? The puzzle is how you take them to the other side using one boat.
Huh? I've heard of games with rules like that. So this is a version with wolves and sheep? That was a very simple puzzle, passed on from long ago. Let's try posing a question. Sorry, guys. On the right bank, there are 2 wolves and 2 sheep. There's a boat that as many as 2 animals can ride on, and using it, you have to move all 4 of them to the opposite left bank. That's the puzzle. There are 2 rules. The first is regarding the boat. Even a single wolf or a single sheep can paddle it, but can only hold 2 animals. The second rule is regarding the wolves. When they are greater in number than the sheep in any location, they attack the sheep and it's game over. For example, at the start of the game, let's say the 2 sheep get into the boat and go to the other side. Then 1 sheep gets off and the other goes back to the first bank. When it does, there are 2 wolves on the first bank and a single sheep returns there. When that happens, the number of wolves is greater, so the sheep is attacked and it's game over. On either bank, or even the boat, there must never be more wolves than sheep. And you've got to shuttle them all across under these conditions. By the way, the right answer is to move both wolves to the opposite bank in the first turn, then 1 wolf comes back. On the second turn, you move 2 sheep to the opposite bank, then 1 wolf comes back.
Then on the third turn, you put that last wolf that was on the right bank on the boat and cross the opposite bank, and congratulations, transport successful. Partway, there may be the same number of wolves and sheep in the boat or on either side, but that isn't the problem. You only lose when the number of wolves is greater. This book uses wolves and sheep as an example, but lots of people probably know of this game using different characters. It looked like Maria wanted to test whether I too could solve the puzzles she knew how to solve. She kept showing me different pages saying, "Solve this one, and this one's hard." So what was happening when Aunt Rosa mentioned this? So what was happening when Aunt Rosa first mentioned this puzzle? That's right. When we decided to go and get Jessica, we talked about how many men should go. And Aunt Rosa mentioned the wolves and sheep puzzle, saying we should all go together. Wait a sec. That could only mean one thing. Aunt Rosa was saying that there was a wolf among us. So was she thinking that we'd be safe if the number of wolves and sheep was in balance, but that the wolves could bare their fangs if the situation changed? At the time we found our parents' corpses, Aunt Rosa already suspected that the servants might be wolves. She'd sniffed out the possibility that, while she didn't know whether it was all of them or some of them, there were wolves hiding among them. That's no surprise. That murder scene was very elaborate. It's easy to imagine that there were multiple culprits, and because she'd reached that conclusion when we went to Jessica's room, and learned that Jessica had been killed after being alone with a servant, Cannon, it isn't hard to imagine why Aunt Rosa suspected the servants so persistently. You servants, Goda-san is going to the kitchen to clean the dishes. Just in case, would you please all go with him?
My apologies, everyone. Let us go as a group.
Shannon, Kumasawa, we are going.
Yes, coming. Well then, George-san, excuse me for now. Yes, take care. Aunt Rosa, could I go as well? I'm sorry, but would you remain here, George-kun? There's something I want to talk to you about. Is that so? Sorry, Shannon. Anyway, take care. 1 second here. Chapter 13, okay. Don't be alone. Yes. I'm sorry, Dr. Nanjo. I wanted to consult you about something.
Yes, what could that be?
Servants put the dishes and empty cans on the serving cart and started to head out into the corridor. Behind them, Aunt Rosa was talking to Dr. Nanjo about something in a small voice.
Understood. I will go.
Yes, I'm counting on you. Dr. Nanjo closed the book he had been reading, rose from the sofa, and followed after the servants. Aunt Rosa stuck her head out into the hallway, and after seeing that they were completely out of sight, she closed the door and spoke. Listen up, everyone. With that, everyone here is in Ushiromiya. Huh? Yes, that's true. So you're saying that you chased out all the wolves, Aunt Rosa? With that one sentence, Aunt Rosa's gaze grew sharp. Apparently, she had picked up on the sarcasm. She laughed lightly. Your mind sure works fast, Battler-kun. I like clever kids. It means there's less to explain. Ooh, Battler's smart. Can you solve this? Page 64 is hard. Ooh. Maria, go watch TV for a bit. Mama wants to talk with Battler-kun and George-kun. Ooh. Aunt Rosa, I heard about the puzzle from Battler-kun. I don't think it's wrong to be on our guards, but I also think there's such a thing as being too suspicious. Whether the real culprit is Beatrice or not, there's reason for us to suspect that the servants are in on it. In the first murder where Nissan and the others were killed, they were treated very brutally, right? Did that look like something that could have been done alone? Maybe the mystery guest Beatrice-sama worked all night and did it all. And what about the master key and the door to Jessica's room? Isn't that proof that one of the servants was involved? Only the master key could have locked the door to Jessica's room, so we can only suppose that one of the servants did it. No, wait. Spin the chessboard around. That's strange, Aunt Rosa.
After killing Jessica, why would the culprit go to all the trouble of locking the door? The fact that it was locked makes it inevitable that the owners of the master keys would be suspected. There was no reason for them to go to all the trouble of locking the door. That's right. It's just as Battle-kun says. There was no need for them to go to all the trouble of making themselves look suspicious. Yes, that's an interesting thought. Of course, I also thought that. If that's the case, then the person who locked it wanted to cast suspicion on the servants and locked it without a master key. But that's impossible, right? That's right. If there existed some trick that could lock that door without a master key, that would make this a great disguise for casting doubt on the servants. If the culprit's goal was for us to isolate ourselves from the group so they could attack us one by one, this trick would also be effective at giving rise to paranoia. But there was no way to lock that door without using a master key. How can you be sure there's no way to lock that door without a master key? Isn't that a devil's proof like Rudolph Nissan was talking about earlier? Maybe it was locked by some method we can't think of. Even if we can't think of a way, we can't deny the possibility of some unknown trick being used. It's true too, I guess. So is that it? No smoke without fire again? I don't know the practical details of the trick, but I have a general idea. My apologies, but if we make the assumption that Canon-kun was the culprit, it can be explained extremely easily. Even as to why there was no corpse. Huh? But Canon-kun didn't have a master key, right? Putting aside the other servants, at least Canon-kun shouldn't have been able to lock the door. I see. So that's why you told us to search in the closet and everywhere else right after we entered Jessica's room. Yeah, Rosa, your mind works faster than I would have guessed from how you normally act. The brain speed of a little sister is always the big sister's -1. Right now, there's no one I need to worry about offending, which is certainly a relief. George Aniki realized she was referring to Aunt Eva, and seemed a little uncertain about how he should take that sarcasm. I'm sorry. Could you explain it so even I can understand? The Canon-kun's master key was in Jessica-chan's pocket, closed up inside a closed room. After the door was locked, it should have been impossible to put it in her pocket from outside the room, no matter what trick he used. That's not it, Aniki. It was done the way Aunt Rosa's thinking of. This trick could only be used by Canon-kun. Plus, the door could be locked without using a key while the master key was still in Jessica's pocket. And it would also result in his corpse disappearing. How? How could he lock the door without a key? It's simple. George-kun, when you return home, you lock the door, right? You twist the knob, click, and you're done, right? Huh? Could it be? No, but Canon-kun was nowhere to be found. And it looks like you've got it, Aniki. That's what Aunt Rosa was searching the room for. She was searching for Canon-kun, who had locked the door from the inside and stuck the key in Jessica's pocket, before hiding somewhere, waiting for us to walk right past him. It was the simplest kind of closed room trick. It meant him hiding inside the closed room after the murder was committed. Then all he had to do was get out after those who discovered the body left, and the closed room murder would work perfectly. When we searched that room, we didn't find anything. But for all we know, that room might have had a hidden passage that only the servants know about. We don't know where such a thing might have been hidden, but if we assume there was such a passage, we can conclude that it was impossible for everyone but him. Well, about that line of reasoning. I thought of that too at the very beginning. It's the kind of reasoning I hate most, so I wanted to destroy it right at the start. Canon was killed in this room, right? You apparently suspected that Canon was the culprit, so you made me repeat this to destroy that possibility right off the bat. Yes, I understand. So this is what I thought next. I made a theory where there were actually 3 people in this room. Jessica and Canon-kun were victims, and the culprit, the guest Beatrice, was also there with them. You wanted to make it the human me who committed the crime without using magic. I see, a bizarre theory that suits you perfectly. I guess that you killed those 2, then locked the door from the inside.
and that you carried Kanenkun's corpse away using some secret method that normal people wouldn't notice. In other words, you used a secret door to escape. But you told me it in red. You said no kind of hidden door existed in that room. Indeed. There can exist no secret passages that you are all not aware of. Was it Knox who said it, or was it Van Dyne? It seems that in mystery novels there must never be hidden passages. I simply followed that etiquette. So even without having to thoroughly search the room, a famous detective could conclude that no secret passages exist. Humans playing detective have it so easy. Damn you, talking so big. Thanks. Thanks to the mighty witch being so diplomatic, I get to conclude that the room has no hidden doors without searching the whole thing. Indeed. There are no hidden doors in this room. There is no way to get in or out other than the door and the windows. Which means that the theory Aunt Rose is so confident in is wrong. Also, annoyingly, it's impossible to disprove her theory. If you, the witch, say, there are no hidden doors, in red, then it's settled. However, no matter how much a human like me tries to argue against her, Aunt Rosa probably won't accept it. Humans can't prove there's no hidden door. It's a devil's proof. Hey, Christonium, thank you for resubscribing. Glad to have you here. 3 months now. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Tier 2! Okay. I just now saw that. Thank you. I apologize if I didn't notice that before, but thank you for the Tier 2 subscription, Christonium. Let's give him a shout out here. Still playing Ark Survival Evolved, I see. How's that going for you? Well, let's see. Were you here for the last stream? Because, Jessica and Cannon died in the last stream. Cannon's corpse disappeared. She confirmed that Cannon died in that room in red. It's going good, taming lots of dinos. Nice. But yeah, guys, go check out Christonium. Still need to get to that affiliate level, so go help him out. Okay, you think you missed that. Okay. Yeah, so Jessica and Cannon are dead. There's a new rule of the game that she has implemented called Red Truth. Anything she says in red is 100% true. So she has confirmed that Cannon is dead, even though his corpse is not in the room. Oh, you were there for that. Okay. Alright, then... Yeah, right now, they're trying to figure out who to suspect. And... Yeah. It's kind of been some back and forth, because Cannon's the obvious suspect, and yet the witch has said in red that he was killed in that room. Okay. It sure is convenient being a witch. No way. To call Kanekun the culprit because of a hidden door we don't even know exists. I can't accept that. If you can't accept it, then find me a different theory that's more convincing. There is none. I've been thinking this whole time. There is no other option. George-kun, you and Shannon-chan are close, right? I imagine that's why you find it so hard to accept that all the servants are culprits. Even I don't want to believe that Shannon-chan is in league with the culprit. But whether they're all in it together or not, there's definitely a culprit or maybe an accomplice in that group. That point alone is something you absolutely need to understand. If you guessed there were wolves besides Kanekun, does that mean the uproar you caused by accusing Kanekun in Jessica's room was to gauge the reactions of the other servants? Yes, that's right, and as a result I began to suspect them even more. There certainly is a wolf among the servants. Certainly. And just like in the wolves and sheep puzzle, while they may be docile most of the time, they'll surely attack if they get the chance. Jessica-chan was a lone sheep on the boat. In Maria's version of the puzzle, they may not attack when there's an equal number of wolves and sheep, but our puzzle is different. Depending on the situation and the number of people, they'll attack even if there's a balance. Just like when Jessica-chan was killed. Then there's something that makes me mad. If that's true, then when you made Shannon go to the kitchen, you put her in a dangerous situation, didn't you? We should go to the kitchen right now, too. No matter who or may not be a wolf. If staying together means we remain in balance, I think we should keep it that way. Shannon-chan went to see father along with Genji-san. At that time, she was supposedly isolated, but she wasn't killed. Was it because Genji-san wasn't a wolf either? Wrong. It's because they were both wolves. Shannon isn't the kind of person who would take part in a crime. I can't let a comment like that slide, not even from you, Aunt Rosa. I demand that you take back what you just said. I hate saying this in front of Aniki, but the way you're arguing feels just like something Aunt Eva might say. It's like you're automatically assuming that you're right unless we can counter your argument. Looks like you can't fight against your own blood after all, Aunt Rosa. Even I can't think of myself as very praiseworthy right now. But guess what? I'm a mother. I become even a demon to protect Maria's safety. When you're not endangering yourself, but, I digress. I really wish I could shut myself away somewhere alone with her. But I also plan to act as a mother to you two. Right now, you're practically my children. Even if you aren't my own, I won't forsake you. No matter what. Well, thanks for that. I just wanted to warn you not to be careless as your mother. Stay where I can see you at all times. I will protect you. And at the same time, you'll be observing us to make sure we aren't wolves. Yeah, thanks a lot for that. Can you, Aunt Rosa, prove that you aren't a wolf yourself? Yes, I can. That's a quick answer. How? With this. This is my proof. Aunt Rosa lifted her gun and pointed the barrel at me. But it was only for an instant. She immediately lowered the gun, laughing impishly. But to me, the time I spent staring down the barrel of that gun felt like an eternity. How does that gun prove that you aren't the culprit, Aunt Rosa? Think about it. What if I were the culprit? Would I really give up the once-in-a-lifetime chance I got when the servants left? I could just shoot you, bang, and think of a fitting excuse later. Something like Beatrice appeared outside the window and started shooting at us. I just need to leave 2 empty cartridges on the ground and say I fired back at her twice. Well, that's a crazily violent way to argue it, but it does make sense. There's something Kraus-Nissan used to say all the time long ago. Might is right. Maybe that really is true. I'm sorry, you two. I somewhat lost my composure after all the crime since this morning. You know how I normally am, so I must seem desperate and a bit short-tempered right now. Please understand. I want to protect you from a malicious culprit. I will become a demon to do that. That's all there is to it. I'm sorry for saying something that angered you. Battler-kun, George-kun, let's make up. An unsatisfied expression rose to George Aniki's face. He probably couldn't forgive the damage done to Shannon's honor. What about me? Several bits of circumstantial evidence hinted at the servants' participation. I didn't want to believe that one of them was the culprit or possibly colluding with the culprit. But in our current situation, that was little more than wishful thinking. Whom should I believe? In the first place, who is the culprit? Are there accomplices? And if so, how many? It seems I've only been suspecting the people we know. I quickly forgot that 19th person, the guest, Beatrice, who arrived yesterday and boldly claimed to be the Golden Witch. In fact, I still haven't seen her face. I heard she greatly resembled the witch in that portrait, but since I haven't seen her directly, no matter how hard I try, it doesn't really feel to me like a 19th person is on this island. Excuse me. So I've been subconsciously hallucinating that the culprit's one of the 18. Damn it. Come out, Beatrice. If you're the bad guy, then act like the bad guy and show yourself, acting in a high-pitched voice and mocking us. It's like a bad guy in one of those dramas who, even when they're exposed as the culprit, aggressively says, "Where's your proof?" Where's your proof? Shut up. No more talking.
There were 5 humans in the kitchen, but it was very quiet, filled only with the sound of the rain. It was only accented by the sound of Shannon and Kumasawa washing the dishes. Goda was using the leftovers from breakfast and lunch as ingredients for a soup. Rosa had suspected that poison might have been added to the food, so they decided to eat canned goods, but it hadn't been too satisfying. But Goda thought she was being too cautious, so he was spontaneously creating soup to be served only to those who wanted some. Shannon and Kumasawa were washing the dishes that the food had been arranged on. On the inside, they thought maybe Goda should wash them since he'd been the one who wanted the food arranged on plates in the first place, but they left their complaints unsaid for the time being. Genji and Naja were facing each other across a crude chess set that had many years of experience. The game had still only just begun. Excuse me. And because the opening game of these experienced players had been honed to perfection, it looked like a ceremony where they just moved specified pieces in a specified order.
That's a nice aroma. You wouldn't get this from canned food.
It was made only from sealed ingredients, so there won't be any poison mixed in. I am making enough for everybody, so please eat. Of course, I will also taste for poison. Please feel secure and eat.
That really is a nice aroma. Goda-san, this food you cook really is delicious.
Being able to create delicious food when you buy delicious ingredients is hardly special. My master taught me that a true cook needs to perfect their ability to make delicious food for whatever is on hand. And from whatever is on hand.
So MacGyver is a chef, got it.
That was a good master. Thanks to him, it looks like we'll get to enjoy some truly delicious soup.
Although it is a shame that it was made from ingredients intended for all of the family members to eat.
I'm sure Rosa-san is tired after everything that happened this morning. It is only natural.
But thanks to that, we get to drink some soup made from delicious ingredients. Oh.
Rosa had firmly... Sorry, guys. Rosa had fervently warned everyone that they didn't understand the danger they were in, and that they must assume that poison was mixed in with the food. The mood at the time had led them to agree, but hunger wasn't something that could be swayed by a momentary emotion like that.
Ironically, we've ended up with a soup that we normally wouldn't be able to savor. If possible, I would like to serve it to everyone in the parlor, but...
Seeing that it would violate Rosa-sama's instructions, you would best give up on that idea. It's enough that only those who want to eat it do so.
Skillfully taking a breather when no one's looking is also an important skill for a servant, isn't it?
When Kumasawa cackled, Shannon and Goda laughed too. It seemed that in this space where only their fellow servants were gathered, they could relax quite a bit. Shannon didn't like Goda's occasional dishonesty, but she knew that there was no falsehood in his childish smile when he cooked, nor in his desire for people to enjoy his food. So even though it was a little aggravating to be made to wash the dishes, she couldn't really hate him. However, they couldn't have dreamed that Rosa was calling them wolves in the parlor at exactly the same moment they were spending their time peacefully like this. At that time, several of the servants heard a sound like something being dragged, and then a thump. It seemed like the sound made by a servant outside the back door when they were carrying a mountain of trash bags on a rainy day, or maybe when a servant was returning from work wearing a raincoat. So at first, that sound didn't seem like anything out of the ordinary to any of them. But they soon realized, right now, everyone was either in the kitchen or in the parlor. So who could possibly be at the back door? As the servants all looked at each other, they checked to make sure that each one of them knew what that sound meant.
Who could it be?
The servants knew the mansion's layout well, so they understood how incomprehensible it would be for someone from the parlor to actually go outside in this typhoon, go all the way around, and come up to this back door. Then was it Kinzo? They couldn't imagine that Kinzo, who never left his study, would dash out into the middle of this typhoon and come back to the house. And come to the back of the house where only low-class people ever entered or exited.
That wasn't our imagination, was it?
Shannon and Kumasawa drew close together, fearfully looking at the back door.
Who is it?
As Goda fearfully approached the back door, he called out, and his eyes flashed towards the butcher's knife that sat in a nearby sink. He didn't pick it up yet, because there was still a possibility that this was a member of the family. However, that possibility was impossible. There was no response from across the door to Goda's initial question. Maybe his voice had been so quiet that it hadn't reached through all the wind and rain outside.
Genji-san.
Yes. Stand back, Dr. Nanjo and the women.
Who in the world could it be?
Genji took a knife with a classical design from a stationary box placed near the chess set. It was something to be used instead of a paper knife to open envelopes for statements of delivery and bills. But it was still a knife, so the blade on it could injure someone. Genji hid it in his sleeve with a well-practiced motion. Then he approached the back door himself, giving Goda a silent nod. Goda cautiously approached the back door and slowly started to open it. The shadow of a person suddenly shuffled into sight, landed on its knees, and fell over. Goda fell backwards onto his backside and couldn't get up. That human shadow was soaked with rain, smeared with mud, and drenched with blood.
Cannon-kun! Cannon-kun!
Cannon, are you alright? Dr. Nanjo!
It was Cannon. His breath was feeble, and the puddles of mud he left were quickly drenched bright red. When Nanjo held him and turned him face up, there was a deep, gruesome wound right in the center of his chest, as though he'd been stabbed there by a spear or something. Even now, deep red blood poured out from there.
This is horrible. What shall we do? Get a first aid kit? A first aid kit?
Cannon-kun, place your hand against the wound. Please, push firmly. Let's carry him to the bed in the servants' room. Everyone, please lend a hand. Come now, Cannon-kun, Cannon-san. Please hang in there a little longer.
Hang in there. It'll be okay. So don't take your hand from the wound.
At any rate, let us carry him to the servant room. Kumasawa, inform Rosa-sama that we have found Cannon.
Wait. Not Rosa-sama.
Please wait. Cannon-san said not Rosa-sama.
What do you mean, Cannon-kun?
This is no time for that. Let us quickly carry him to the servant room. Kumasawa, do not tell Rosa-sama yet. We will do it after we hear the situation from Cannon.
Yes.
He had told them not to go tell Rosa right after appearing in this state. This could only mean something very disquieting. An eerie anxiety rose to their faces.
Come now, everyone. Let's hurry and carry him. Quickly, quickly.
Cannon's wound was unbelievably deep, and judging from Nanjo's pale face, it was a miracle that he was still conscious.
This is horrible. He appears to have been stabbed by something like a spear. If it hasn't reached the lungs, I might be able to do something. At any rate, we must stop the bleeding.
No matter how much Nanjo tried to wipe off that gushing deep red blood, he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. He couldn't wipe it all away. And each time, the wound was aggravated, causing Cannon to cry in anguish.
Cannon-kun, Cannon-kun, Cannon-kun. Hang in there, hang in there.
Dr. Nanjo, here's a new towel. How horrible.
What is his condition?
In all honesty, this is so severe that I cannot believe he is alive. Maybe the location of the wound was fortunate, but the blood loss is too horrible. A blood transfusion is necessary, but that will be impossible until tomorrow.
Rosa-sama, to us. Don't talk, Cannon-kun. Your wound will open. Rosa-sama came to Milady and me and
What did you say?
Rosa-sama did. Oh, could that mean? Could that mean?
Are you certain?
Yes, I'm certain. It was Rosa-sama.
Come now, don't speak anymore. Kumasawa-san, please grab another first aid kit. Genji-san, is it possible Rosa-sama did such a thing?
I do not know.
Disregarding Nanjo and Kumasawa, who were struggling hard and stained with blood as they tried to stop the bleeding, Genji and Goda faced each other. Because if what Cannon had said was the truth, Rosa was the culprit who killed Jessica.
Curse you, Rosa. How could you do that to Milady? I'll kill you. I will kill you.
Cannon screamed even more hatefully. His hate-filled voice made it seem like he was seeing Jessica being harmed right before his eyes.
Certainly Rosa-sama may have had a reason to kill Milady. If everyone in the Ushiromiya family were destroyed, the inheritance would all go to Rosa-sama. So if Battler-sama and George-sama are in danger... Battler-sama and George-sama are in danger. Not only is Rosa-sama holding a gun, but right now they're the only ones in the lounge. Genji-san, isn't this situation quite perilous?
Shannon suddenly ran out into the corridor. Her expression was complex and tragic, as though she didn't know what to believe. Shannon ran. To where? The inside of the mansion had been scrupulously cleaned, so it probably wouldn't be easy to find. She might find it if she searched the rose garden, but they'd probably all been lost in this wind and rain. That's right, the boiler room isn't cleaned very often. If she went there, she might be able to find it. Shannon ran downstairs to find that in the underground boiler room. Did some medicine take effect at the brink of death, or was Cannon finally beyond feeling pain? For the time being, at least Cannon's painful gasping had subsided. Nanjo apparently didn't view this as a very good sign, and he didn't let his eyes off Cannon for a second. Kumasawa firmly gripped Cannon's hand and kept encouraging him, so that the willpower keeping him alive didn't fade away. Genji and Goda seemed uncertain how to respond to the truth Cannon had risked his life to deliver.
Rosa-sama's gun surely has 4 or 5 shots loaded.
That is no small number. But loading cartridges into the Winchester should require a lot of practice. She might be able to get one shot off, but if everyone attacks her at once, we should be able to take the gun from her before she shoots again.
We may have the doctor on this island, but we have no access to medicine and no hospital. If the location of that shot is bad, that person will die.
I understand that, but more importantly, if we don't move quickly, there is a chance another crime will occur. It seems to me that Rosa-sama managed to cleverly chase us out. Maybe George-sama and Battler-sama are being killed right now.
If our foe is so dangerous, wouldn't it be better if we didn't provoke them too much?
But tomorrow is still a long way off. We can't even imagine what strategy she might use. Genji-san, we should take action first. If we can at least steal the gun under some pretext, it might work out.
There are 4 or 5 cartridges, are there not? That means around enough to kill all of us. As long as we don't carelessly provoke her, surely even Rosa-sama wouldn't be that rash. No, she said it. She said she'll massacre all of us.
Cannon, who they thought was sleeping quietly, suddenly started talking brightly, almost as though he'd been awake this whole time and had suddenly opened his mouth. Cannon looked firm and steady, which relieved Nanjo a bit, but considering the depth of that wound, he couldn't wipe away a certain creepy feeling. He knew because he was a doctor. After losing so much blood, Cannon might easily have lost consciousness, and yet somehow he was still intensely aware of his surroundings. Was it youth, or was it tenacity? Sometimes the power of human life surpassed common knowledge. While stopping the bleeding, Nanjo had groped around a bit inside the bleeding hole with tweezers, making sure there were no foreign objects inside the affected area, and the great depth of the wound had shocked him. It had certainly reached as far as his lungs, and yet, no. But the fact that he's still alive is wonderful. But Cannon had spoken clearly. He'd hatefully stated that the one named Rosa made this wound, cursing and raging over and over and over.
She wants to kill everyone by any means necessary before the typhoon passes, so that she can have the Master's wealth all to herself. She told me that clearly.
Damn, what a person. Genji-san, what should we do? Are there any weapons we can...
I find it hard to believe. To think that Rosa-sama would say something like that.
Genji-sama, it isn't a question of whether you believe or not. She told me. I heard it. Why won't you believe me?
Don't get up. You'll harm your wound.
Cannon sat up on the bed, speaking to Genji, who didn't seem to be willing to believe Cannon's story.
She'll definitely kill all of us. She must have killed everyone in the parlor by now. If we don't kill her first, we'll definitely be killed first. Just like how I was killed first, everyone else will also be killed first. Kill or be killed. Kill or be killed. Or kill or be killed.
Cannon-san, does that really not hurt?
Oh, this is nothing.
What do you mean it's nothing? You're...
It really isn't a big deal. It doesn't even hurt anymore. It's really nothing.
As Cannon said that, he began to untie the bandages that had been painstakingly wrapped. The gruesome hole in his chest was immediately exposed.
Cannon-san! You mustn't do that! Lie down quickly! I said it's fine. Hey, see? This is nothing, right?
Cannon showed off his gaping wound, which was still slowly spitting out foamy blood. Everyone averted their eyes reflexively.
Look, I told you it wasn't a serious wound at all. It's only a flesh wound.
So stop! You mustn't play with the wound!
Come on, see? It isn't a deep wound at all. Look. Look.
Cannon held up 2 fingers, showed them to everyone, and slowly started to stick them into the gruesome wound right in the center of his chest. plunging, slimy, squishy, wet. The fingers went in deep, all the way to their bases. Nobody clipped that. Squish, loop, loop.
Kaden-san, stop it! Stop it!
Those fingers were sticking all the way into his chest, up to their bases. And then he slowly pulled them out in exactly the same way. The fingers he pulled out were stained by a sticky, solid, deep red color, and there was even a thread hanging. The fingers were covered, up to their bases, in deep red.
You? What in the world? See? It's not a serious wound at all, see?
At that moment, the door was slammed open and Shannon appeared. Even after she saw Cannon stained with fresh blood, her impregnable expression didn't falter.
Hey, Nason, where did you go? I'm on the verge of death here, so where'd you go?
That's right. I went to the boiler room. There was something I had to find. More importantly, there's something I need to ask you. Are you really Cannon-kun?
Huh? What?
It was only natural. Everyone believed that he was Cannon. Your evil demon says yes, but you will spare the masses for when you have a clip shout-out. Thank you. So they couldn't understand the meaning of Shannon's question. When they looked, they noticed that Shannon was holding a handkerchief in her hand. It was filthy and looked like it had been used to wipe up some trash or dust. And while holding that, she approached Cannon, drawing closer to his feet.
What is that?
It's a handkerchief with a spider's web wiped onto it.
Why would you bring something like that?
If you're Cannon-kun, you should be fine. But if spiders are your natural enemy, I thought you might not like it.
Are you kidding? Why would I hate spiders?
Sorry, I'll try it. Shannon-san.
When Shannon brought that handkerchief close to Cannon's thigh, something happened in an instant. It happened all at once. The human eye couldn't have followed it. Cannon jumped like a wild goat, fleeing from the thing Shannon was holding. Then from his arm, some kind of afterglow flashed purple and drew a curve through space. That arc, which drew 3 beautiful purple curves, traced across the throats of Nanjo and Kumasawa, who had been tending to him. And in an instant, Nanjo and Kumasawa's throats opened like gaping mouths, and then the blood really started spewing out. The third purple curve should have traced across that Shannon's throat, but Shannon wasn't there, because Genji, who had been behind her, had wrapped his own arm around Shannon's neck and pulled her back. This all happened in an instant. In the instant it took Goda to think fast in an attempt to understand the scene, the frozen moment in time shattered. Blood was gushing from Nanjo and Kumasawa's torn open necks. Cannon jumped and kicked off a picture frame that had been hanging from the wall behind him, springing forward just like a cat and aiming for Shannon's throat again. But Cannon's target once again disappeared from in front of him, because Genji had pulled Shannon again, and the two of them had fallen to the ground in a defensive crouch.
Nice reflexes, you senile old furniture.
Goda!
Oh!
Even Goda was no fool. Even if he couldn't fully understand what was going on, he at least realized that if this Cannon wasn't seized, his own life would also be in peril. He sprung at Cannon with his huge body, pushing him up against the wall with all his weight and physical strength.
Oh! Ah! Let go, fat ass!
Another purple, another purple curve was drawn from the tips of the fingers on Cannon's right hand. And when he raised that hand like a sword, aiming for Goda's back, there was a loud thunk. Because Cannon's raised hand had been pinned to the wall. He couldn't tear his palm away from the wall. Sticking out from it was the knife Genji had thrown. Under normal circumstances, it would have been surprising to see someone as old as Genji handle a knife so skillfully. But in this abnormal space, no one paid it much mind.
Genji-sama, take this.
Indeed.
Genji took the handkerchief with a spiderweb stuck to it from Shannon, and he approached Cannon, who was pinned to the wall by Goda's massive body and the knife.
Stop it! Don't come near me with that! Stop it! Stop!
When Genji pushed the handkerchief up against Cannon's face, there was a sound just like setting meat on a red-hot iron plate. Of course, the smell was the same too, as he was horribly burned, festering in filthy red and black, and crying out in his death throes. Cannon's body burst open and scattered. It was almost as though a balloon filled with gold leaf had popped. The entire servant room was completely buried under a storm of gold leaf. No, a cloud of gold butterflies. Those butterflies began to softly fade as though into water, or rather, what am I, Elmer Fudd? Those butterflies began to softly fade as though into water, or rather, into the empty air itself. And afterwards, all that was left was the 3 survivors sitting on their butts, stained with blood. However, not everyone was merely stained with blood. Some of them were lying on the ground, spurting out blood themselves.
Kumasawa. Dr. Nanjo.
Slits so sharp they looked like they'd cut your finger if you touched them open wide, and large amounts of blood kept pouring out.
What was that just now?
Goda, have you been injured?
I'm fine. But what did we just see? What happened? I know I pushed that thing against the wall with my own hand, but even I cannot understand what happened.
Goda looked at his own hand. The bright red blood left from his scuffle with Cannon definitely remained, and yet Cannon was nowhere to be seen, because he had disappeared. He had transformed into gold butterflies and scattered. Goda kept screaming alone, without a clue about what was going on. Looks like we've got obituaries, guys. Wait, wrong one. Kumasawa Chiyo died in the servant room, her throat slit by a sharp blade or something similar, finishing touches yet to come. Nanjo Terumasa died in the servant room, his throat slit by a sharp blade or something similar, but this alone isn't enough. Shannon sobbed in front of Nanjo and Kumasawa's remains, as Genji watched over her, silent as always. What a place to end the chapter. And because that is the second chapter, because I don't have any desire to keep this going up past 11 my time, that'll be it for now. So let us save here. Serbian, thank you for joining. Glad you could make it, but oh well. You missed out on all the murdering action stuff that was happening, so You'll just have to come back on Wednesday if you want to see this continued. I'll be back on Sunday, however, with more Death Stranding, so there will be that. Let me see here if there's anyone online to raid. Let's see here. Let's give his little kitty a raid, since she's streaming Horizon Forbidden West, so I will be lurking because I'm trying to avoid spoilers myself. But no reason we can't give her a boost. Give me just a moment while I get that set up here. Okay, where is that? Okay. Alright, so this is Dr. Novelle signing out for the evening. Hope you will join me on Sunday when we pick up Death Stranding where we left off. Enjoy the raid for his Little Kitties channel. And I'll see you soon. Have a good one.